Good morning, Internet land. We're just waiting for Instagram to join us, and then we will be live everywhere, and then we will officially get started with our topic for today. We're going to talk about thoughts and why they're nonsense. Okay, let's get Instagram up to speed with us, and then we will officially go live. All right, we are live everywhere. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of DIY Wellness. Excuse me. This is the show for people taking personal growth into their own hands. And today I want to talk to you guys about how your thoughts are nonsense. Mine too. I have proof that our thoughts are mostly nonsense and why that's actually the best news ever. So on this show, we try out different strategies for personal growth. Today, we're going to try out something called cognitive diffusion, which is a way of separating and getting a little bit of distance from all the nonsense thinking that we all do all the time as a result of the natural phenomenon of being born into a human life. So let's get into this, how this works and how we can let our mind be the servant instead of the master as it was always intended to be. So the first thing I want to talk about is why science and mystics both agree that mostly all of our thinking is nonsensical. Then I want to talk about, then I want to talk about how we became caught in this thinking trap. And finally, I want to talk about how we're going to get out of the thinking trap, and that's through self-doubt. As much as it seems odd to say doubt yourself, in this case, when it comes to that thinking mind, we want to put some doubt in there, some healthy self-doubt, so that you can find your way by using the deeper sensing and noticing apparatus that we talked about in episode 28 about having the 5 brains. So that's being able to be led through your heart, your gut, and your deeper intuition. In order to have that happen, we have to understand that our thoughts are mostly nonsense and then learn how to doubt them. So point number 1, there's this sort of collective idea in sacred wisdom traditions that says that the verbal thinking mind is nonsense, but it does not always put quite that way. In Buddhist psychology, in this Pali Buddhist tradition, for example, they have a whole concept called papancha, which is just basically means the proliferation of thought, how one idea spawns another idea into thinking chaos, and they call it papancha. So that's like literally a name for the ticker tape thinking mind that we have all the time, that is meant to operate in the background like a heartbeat, but instead we've put it right here front and center and said we have to listen to it like a tyrant. In Native and North American indigenous wisdom traditions, there's something called Wetiko, which is a similar thing. It's a mind virus, but it's the added layer from papancha to Wetiko is that Wetiko is about this sort of greed, this selfish, these thought loops that come up, which of course, as a result of having papancha and then never doubting it, you're going to start having Wetiko, because all of it is illusory. And so if you believe in the illusion of everything that your mind is telling you to question, you're ultimately eventually going to start believing in the illusion that there isn't enough and that you need to get yours and that it's got to be controlled. Everything's got to be controlled. That's Wetiko. And then in the Toltec traditions, they also have a name for the din of chaos in the mind. They've given it its own name and they've put their own spin on it. In the Toltec traditions, they call it mitote. And what mitote means is literally like the fog of internal chatter. It's the literal translation, I believe, is the marketplace. So the analogy there is, it's like if you've ever been to a busy marketplace, then all the sounds coming from all the different vendors and booths and the customers negotiating and everyone haggling, that's called the mitote, which is like the marketplace din of the mind. And it's described by the Toltecs as a collective dream made of inherited lies. And these inherited lies are just things from our culture, some innocent and some nefarious, but all of them inadvertent in the sense that this is just the way that we're brought up. We're domesticated to believe in the truth of verbal language. Relational frame theory is a geeky scientific theory, but it's about how language creates associations, not truths. So relational frame theory's whole idea is that the meaning we create out of all the different things that we experience is the result of the way that we learned language and how our the relational frame that we put from one thing to another leads us to create context dependent meaning. So the meaning that I give to a series of events is not going to be the meaning that you give to a series of events, even though we're both going to try to describe that meaning in verbal language. So this is where we get to the point where we're realizing that all the verbal thoughts, the verbal language we have in our head is nonsense. It's all made up because it's all symbolic. In Avengers Endgame, I think it was, Thor said, all words are made up. And it's so true. It's like they are literally made up. They only mean what they mean because we agree to them. So let me give you guys an example to try to bring this home to you. Like if I say the word apple, then you all picture an apple. You can't help it. It's inadvertent. Apple, apple, apple. Stop trying to think of apples. Now you're probably just thinking of piles and piles of apples. Like that's how the mind works. Papancha of apples now. Apples everywhere. However, the thing that you pictured in your mind isn't the truth of the apple, and it might not be the same picture that I was picturing. I mean, was your apple red or was your apple green? Did your apple have a bite taken out of it or was your apple whole? Was your apple a hyper-realistic apple or a cartoon apple? Who knows, right? Because that's the beauty is like your interpretation is entirely your own. And the idea that I'm trying to convey is entirely my own when I say apple. So everything made of verbal language is a symbol. It's a signpost trying to point at something real because there is such a thing as an apple. There's a real apple. Apples are real. But when I say the word apple, I have not conveyed the real thing. The only way to convey the real thing, the thing that isn't nonsense, the thought of an apple, is to have an apple and for you to take a bite out of it. We can get a little bit better with words. We can use words to become more and more and more truth adjacent. So I can say apple, but I could also say crisp apple. And then that gives you a bit more of a description. Or I could say crisp, juicy, tasty apple. And then you might even start to salivate because it becomes almost real for you. But none of it is as real as taking a big, giant bite out of the apple and experiencing the apple's actual truth. The experience of the apple is the only truth. And then everything else is a description of truth, or a description about truth, or a mistaken idea about truth. And it gets more and more and more and more distorted as we go on down the line. So we have this thing in our brains that is a word machine. It's called the neocortex. It's something that's the thinnest film on top of the rest of the brain. We're the only species that has this ability to like think in this really verbal way like this. And this verbal thought, it causes us to see the world through this illusory veil. And so instead of seeing the world for what it is and experiencing the present moment truth all the time, we see the world through our descriptions and stories about the world, through our past experiences of the world. This is unique to human beings for the most part. And so what we want to do is find a way to diffuse from the thoughts, diffuse from the verbal mind so that we can live more in present moment awareness and live more from that place of the truth of our experience rather than the illusion of our stories about our experience. The bottom line here is that thoughts are not evil, but they are unreliable narrators. These traditions and modern therapies all agree. Liberation begins when you stop believing your thoughts automatically. Thoughts can be there to help you. Oftentimes, spiritual guidance will come in the form of something verbal, but it won't come with all of the anxiety and nonsensical, like one after the other, like tidal wave of stuff that comes when it's Papancha or Wetiko or Matote or just the automatic like meaning making of your relational frame theory from childhood. So this is a natural phenomenon. It's not like it's an evil thing. Like in the Bible, my personal opinion is that the story of the Bible is trying to describe this phenomenon, the phenomenon of our fall from grace, which means our fall from the clarity of the way all of the other animals see this kingdom of heaven that we live in called earth. And instead, because we took a bite of the apple, no pun intended, but we took a bite of the tree of knowledge is what it's actually called in that story. So in the story of Eden, The apple symbolizes biting into knowledge. It symbolizes our neofrontal cortex. It symbolizes our ability to start creating knowledge, a story out of the experience that we're having and track that story from past to future, beginning to end, and around and around and around. And so, because of that story, we have fallen from grace. And so, the way back to grace is to encounter the truth. And the encountering of the truth is to be in the present moment and feel what you feel, experience what you experience, and let it be what it is beyond description. It's okay to put descriptions on it. That's the beauty of our neofrontal cortex, and we want to use it to make plans and go about our lives and stuff like that, but we don't want to use it to be the narrator or the dictator or to believe everything that it says automatically. The neofrontal cortex, it's like the heart. It operates autonomically in the head, and so its medium is words, the same way the heart's medium is blood. So you don't want the heart to stop pumping blood or you die. So you just let it pump, and you let it pump in the background. That's the key with the mind. You don't want to stop the word chatter. Like, it's meant to be a word factory. It's okay. You just want to let the word factory happen, and you want to let the word factory happen in the background. And the way that you let it happen in the background is to stop believing that it's your identity, to stop believing that you're the cause of every thought that you have. And therefore, if they're an evil thought, you're an evil person. If it's a shameful thought, you should be ashamed. Like, just disconnect. The thoughts are going to happen no matter what, and they have nothing to do with the kind of person you are. Nothing. And they'll change over time the more you disconnect from them. Descartes has this thing where he says, I think, therefore I am. But it's like a total misunderstanding of what he was trying to say. It's not that we think, therefore we are. It's he actually arrived at the idea that I think, therefore I am, because I know that I can doubt. I can doubt that I'm thinking. And so his actual quote in full is something more along the lines of, I doubt, therefore I think, therefore I am. So because he can doubt his own ability to think, he knows he exists. So being precedes thinking in our understanding of how and why we exist. And we need to get back to that place of being, understanding our beingness. Okay. Ian McGilchrist, in his book, The Master and the Emissary, talks about how we arrived in this place in our culture to be like this left hemisphere dominated culture is how we are, because the left hemisphere fixates, isolates, and narrates, whereas the right hemisphere sees whole systems, it sees context, it experiences living truth in the here and now. And so we've ended up in this situation where we're in this society that's crumbling because we've built the society that we're living in from only the lens of verbal thought, from only the lens of the left hemisphere's analytical ability to control, dominate, and provide safety, or so it thinks, right? And so what we want to start to do is just let thoughts be what they are in the background, but instead be moving through our lives guided by our present moment, heart-centered awareness. The takeaway here is that the dominance of left brain modes, analysis, language, and separation, has distorted our relationship with the truth, with the present moment, with the experiential real truth of moment-to-moment reality. This isn't about throwing out reason. It's about remembering that it's not the only or even the best guide. That reason is something afterwards to help us figure out how and why things happened and make sense of our world. But the way we want to move through our world is with intuitive guidance, with somatic sensations, with the does it bring me joy? Does it feel liberating? Does it feel free? So I want to give you guys a tool that you can use. This is one of my favorites. So I've talked about this in some past episodes, and it's called Name Your Mind. So what you want to do is just externalize the guy or the girl or the them in there that is doing all the mind chatter, or it could be a little creature even. Sometimes I picture mine as a little monkey climbing all around. And just by giving your mind a name, you allow yourself to detach a little bit more from everything that it's thinking about. So for example, when my mind starts saying something to me like, you're never going to be able to do this, or like, you didn't rehearse enough for your podcast this morning, you drove here from New Hampshire and instead you should have been studying papancha, 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 I can go, okay, thank you, Buster. I appreciate you. I see you. And I know that you're trying to keep me safe in your own way, but I'm going to just move on from your anxiety ridden guidance and go about my morning anyway, drive to my podcast peacefully, and then go live for my friend Hannah's kitchen, and everything's going to be fine. And so I've named my mind Buster. And and that's because he tries to bust me. But when he does, I can just call him that. And the trick is, when you name your mind and when you start talking to your mind, every time you notice your mind, thank it. Oh, thank you, Buster. I appreciate all those suggestions, but I'm going to go about doing it this way. So you never want to create an animosity between you and your mind. It's not like, oh, Buster's here again. Screw you, Buster. I can't stand you. You're always busting me. It's always a warm greeting. Thank you, Buster. Oh my goodness. I appreciate you, right on cue with all those thoughts about how I will be like completely nuclear vaporized by cancel culture if I show up to this podcast without having fully rehearsed. Like, that's okay. Thank you, Buster. Appreciate it. But I'm going to show up and do my show anyway. And then I want to give you guys one more. This is a really fun one for me. It's like very, very linguistically driven, but it works wonders. And anytime I've ever taught it to a client, they've said the same thing. So this is a thought distancing technique that you can use, and it's from acceptance and commitment therapy. The way that this works is you're stuck in some thinking or whatever. So pull out one of the thoughts that you're stuck in at the moment, like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to handle this, or I'm going to be late and they're going to fire me. Whatever your thought is, it doesn't matter. So let's just pick, I'm not good enough. A universal shared thought about our collective unworthiness, which is total bupkis, by the way. But let's just go with this thought for now. I'm not good enough. So you're having that thought. It's plaguing you. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. Oh my God. And it's just making you more and more depressed the more you ruminate on this idea. So once you notice you're there, as soon as you notice, and these tools help us with the noticing. So the more you practice, the more you'll notice. Then you say, I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. And you say it out loud. So you figured out the thought, oh, I'm really being dogged by this story I'm telling myself that I'm not good enough. So you say, okay, step one, you add the phrase, I'm having the thought that, in front of your thought. So I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. Step two, you say it out loud 3 times. I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. And then after you've done that, step 3 is to add the tag, I notice, in front of the first tag and then in the rest of the sentence. So now you say, I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. Step 4 is to do that 3 times out loud. So by the time you're done with step 4, you have gone, I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. And as you do that now, it's so much further away from you. It's gone from I'm not good enough to I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. I notice I'm having the thought that I'm not good enough. And by saying it out loud, it starts to sound a little absurd because it's like, yeah, okay, I know that's my mind now. When we're saying them silently to ourselves, they sound so true. But when you say them out loud, they sound more inherently false because you know that if someone said that to your friend, you'd be like, not true. You're trying to be a jerk to her. Knock it off. So when they're said out loud, they sound wrong. They sound mean. And they sound more false, which is more correct. So bring your toxic inner dialogue out loud, front and center, and then add those linguistic tags. I'm having the thought that I notice. So it goes, I notice I'm having the thought that yucky thought, and then saying it all out loud. And you will find that it becomes a little bit more absurd and a little bit more hard to believe the matote, papancha, or watiko spinning around in your mind. So use your mind like a tool, not like a temple. Your thoughts are a part of you, but they are not the part that knows. Okay, so try these practices and see how they work. And I would love to hear how this goes for you in the comments. Remember, you're not here to outthink your life. You're here to outgrow your beliefs about your life. So If what you heard here resonates with you, then please share this video with those you know who might appreciate this message. And if you have questions about the topic or you try any of this, please let me know in the comments. I would love to celebrate your wins and help you get unstuck. Because remember, DIY wellness means do it yourself, but that does not mean you have to do it all by yourself. I will be back again next Monday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, keep taking personal growth into your own hands. Much love, everybody. Thank you. I trust you, humanity. Bye.